Welcome to Keep Going, a podcast about failure and success, hosted by John Biggs. Every week, we talk to an amazing person about a time they failed and what they learned. And remember, when you're going through hell, keep going.
Welcome back to Keep Going, a podcast about success and failure. I'm John Biggs. Today on the show we have Tracy T from Moms on Mushrooms. This is an interesting episode for us because this is a practical way for a lot of women, mothers, older women to begin psychedelics and change their lives. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Moms on Mushrooms real quick.
Yeah, sure. Moms on Mushrooms is an online educational platform and digital community that aims to bring mothers together around the safe and intentional use of working with psychedelic medicine for better mental health and healing. So we really do base our whole core mission is education, coupled with community, so that mothers can feel like they have a safe place to understand what psychedelics are, especially microdosing psilocybin, microdosing magic mushrooms, to feel like they can get information that's relevant to them in a way that they can understand it, and then work with it in community of not only experienced mothers, but mothers who share the same experiences as them, so that you can create an intentional, hopefully lifelong relationship with this medicine that you can apply to many areas of your life.
Okay, and then I'm going to do the conclusion. So where can people find out more about this?
Momsonmushrooms.com should have everything you need to know. We have a great freebie PDF that is I'm a Mom, is microdosing right for me? That guides you through some critical questions to ask yourself. Again, everything we write is through the lens of motherhood. So whether you're a new mom, you're coming up to be a mom, or you're a mom who's got grown and flown kiddos and you're working with grandkids, we all moms welcome, and we've got plenty of resources for you. So just visit momsonmushrooms.com.
I'm a little bit hurt that there's no dads on mushrooms.
Oh, I'm working on it.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
All right. If you need any help on that.
We're an online educational platform and community that aims to bring mothers together around safe, intentional use of microdosing, safe and intentional use of psychedelics. In this season, we're focusing highly on microdosing psilocybin, because I feel like that's a really beautiful foundation to understand psychedelics. And I believe that in the West, where we have a culture that has not been raised or grown up around with any context on understanding entheogenic medicine, and then women and mothers especially, I believe microdosing is a beautiful way to create an intentional relationship with the medicine and understand it before you go into a large dose scenario, which as we're seeing more and more, people kind of leap in with both feet, unprepared, uneducated, uncontextualized, and then can become very destabilized. So for me, I think microdosing really is really good for especially mothers and mothers who are busy doing 1,000 things. It's a way to work with this medicine without having to set aside a weekend or 2 weeks in Bali.
So just to get it out of the way, what's like the recommended regimen? Is it the whatchamacallit? I read the Ayelet Wald's book. She was doing LSD. What would you recommend for somebody, I guess maybe even a little bit older, who's thinking about it?
In terms of
yeah, and so first off, they need to go to the website, right? They got to hit the website and get the information. But what's like the rule of thumb that you offer people if you're just chatting about it?
Yeah, I mean, we love, I think right now we're really focused on magic mushrooms right now, psilocybin. And in terms of regimen, it's funny, we tend to actually make a lot of people mad, because I don't really think that this medicine needs a protocol. I'm not sure we need another dude in a lab coat telling us exactly what to take and when to take it. I think we can intuitively understand what's best for us. That's what comes with intentional microdosing. And so what we really try to do in our courses and our smaller group cohorts is to create a container where women can, again, create a relationship with the medicine, understand how it feels in their body, understand what they're putting in their body, and then say, oh, actually, I think this is how I want to take it. And this is what works best for me, rather than being so like Western allopathic medicine.
Hmm.
So I would say our protocol is intuitive microdosing, but it takes a while to get your brain around that because
Hmm.
it's not how we're trained.
Okay. So it's not like take 0.2 grams every day at 6 in the morning. It's
No.
take a little piece and see what happens.
Yeah, and the adages apply. Start low, go slow. Um, listen to your body, and more than anything, again, know your why. Know why you're doing this. Ask yourself why you want to take this medicine. What's your intention? What do you want out of it? And do you understand that this isn't actually a magic pill? You're not gonna lose 30 pounds, fix your marriage, write the book. Um, it doesn't work that way. So a lot of what we offer is an opportunity to unlearn what we think about medicine and understand that this is like a co-created experience, where you're required to do work. It's not passive like
Hmm.
Advil. You have a headache, you take Advil, you sit back and wait for it to go away. The same is true even for SSRIs, where psilocybin doesn't really do that. Psilocybin asks you to meet it in the middle.
If you're at the birthday party or at the bar or whatever, what do you say to a mother who's been trying, or woman who's been thinking about this and is unsure where to start or even why to start?
Yeah, I would say, first I would say, well, what's calling you to this? Why do you think that this might be something that would be a good fit for you? And those answers are varied. It can start with, I just want to get off my medications. I want to get off my SSRIs. I want to stop feeling so overwhelmed. Mothers specifically, we hear, I want to be more present with my kids. I want to have fun with my kids. I don't remember how to have fun. Older demographics, a lot of mothers in their 60, 70, 80s come to us who are grandmothers now and are realizing that they don't want to spend their third act of life in the same mindset that they've spent the first two. I've had women tell me, I want to laugh again. I'm actually not sure if I've ever laughed. I don't remember like just laughing. I actually want to cry. I don't remember the last time I've cried. So identifying those wants and then understanding if microdosing could help that, I think is probably the first step. And then I always just say, educate yourself, take some time to really understand what this is, to understand the medicine, to understand your brain. Again, we're given medicine so quickly in the Western medical model, and there's no opportunity to ask questions. There's not a lot of encouragement to do research. What you read is usually sponsored by the people that are making it. It's not objective. And I think it's really important to know what we put in our body. And you've made it this far without shrooms. So you can wait a few more weeks or a month while you read. There's so many podcast books, all these things, or in communities, and then decide. And then the last I would say is I would suggest to work with this medicine initially in community, because you learn as much about your experience by sharing it with others as you do by hearing their experiences as well. And when you have shared experiences like motherhood, it just adds a layer of trust and understanding between people. And typically our issues tend to be in the same vein, in the same tone. And so it's just really nice to have people to walk through this, because it's just uniquely different. Again, it's not passive medicine.
Hmm. What do you do to break the stigma? I mean, some of the folks that I talk to are basically saying, "Oh, well, I remember some guy who jumped off a roof or whatever," and that's like apocryphal, right? So
Yeah.
they're gonna tell that story over and over again. How do you break that stigma? How do you break that fear?
Education. I think the stigma and the fear that exists right now is completely directly correlated to decades of misinformation. And that's the truth. So the idea that someone's going to jump off a building, that is patently untrue. And so for me, the stigma is very easily broken when you start to get to the facts. And it's your choice, of course, if you want to believe the facts, but the facts exist. We actually have no recorded known cause of death directly from psilocybin anywhere. And the
Hmm.
person who jumped off the building, I think there was actually 3 people who jumped off buildings. A, they were taking other substances, and that's the number one thing. And B, jumping off the building like is what killed them. It's horrible. And you can absolutely like take too many mushrooms and get in a car and cause a lot of damage. But that's the case with any substance, including alcohol, which is abundantly
Mhm.
available on every street corner in America. And we have 420 deaths directly correlated to alcohol every single day of the year in America.
Yeah,
So
100%.
for me, the stigma just goes back to facts. And really understanding that even on the toxicity level, psilocybin is the lowest toxic substance of anything. And actually, alcohol is the highest. So again, it comes back to unlearning everything we thought we knew about medicine, about drugs, and asking ourselves, am I willing to actually believe the facts? Am I willing to drop this narrative that I've been told? And that's an individual choice.
What about legalization? What do folks do if they're in places where, I mean, presumably you should be able to get them. I mean, you can start growing anywhere unless you live
Yeah.
in Florida, apparently. But what should people do to get started and like even just obtaining them aside from like doing sketchy stuff?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to comment on that.
Hmm. Okay, just find a group find a friendly group nearby, something like that.
I think if you start with education, you'll be guided to the right places, and
Hmm.
and always, they are easy to grow. And I do think they're a democratic medicine. Mushrooms grow. Psilocybin cubensis, or Psilocybe cubensis, kind of the genus of
Hmm.
psychedelic mushrooms that's the most popular, grows on every single continent in the world except Antarctica. It is the
Hmm.
most democratic medicine. So, if you feel like taking a chance, growing your own is probably the safest, and the rest I'm not going to comment on.
Yeah, no, I'm growing 10 strains for the book, so
Oh my gosh!
so I have I have a lot of good friends right now. We're very excited.
Mushrooms in a truck. It's all you need to have friends.
Yeah, I gave a buddy of mine a whole box of like blue meanies,
Oh my
and
gosh.
he wasn't aware of their potency, and all of a sudden he realized he was in a sushi restaurant, like the fish was talking to him and stuff, and that got kind of messy, so it didn't work out
Yeah.
so well. But he learned. All
Yeah.
right, cool.
That's why I'm
Yes.
here.
So from a women's point of view, what are the benefits, do you think, of this medicine? We already discussed that a little bit, but I think there might be some we can dig down a little more
Yeah,
specifics.
I mean, there's a lot of really promising research happening right now on psychedelics and premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMS, perimenopause, menopause, postpartum disorder. I think what we're seeing is that there is some correlation between, psilocybin affecting our serotonin and female hormones. And I think we're getting closer and closer. I don't know that everyone's quite figured it out, but what we're finding is that women especially just really benefit from the increased mindfulness, the increased patience, the decreased reactivity that psilocybin specifically tends to bring. I really think that's amplified in a microdosing setting, again, because you're taking small amounts and you're rewiring your neural pathways in real time. It's not just like one big day on the floor crying all day long, or one large concert. It's little by little. And if you apply it with mindfulness practices, whether that's, journaling or meditation or church or even going for a walk, if you just apply it with something that's a little bit more mindful and intentional, we are seeing broad, just beautiful expansion in that space. And for women and for mothers specifically, it's such a crazy, overwhelming world. And the number one thing that mothers come to us with is, I'm just overwhelmed and unhappy. There's too much stimuli. There's too much to do. Everything is everywhere all at once. Kids are, it's hard to be a mom in the first place. And presence and patience is something that is really desired right now in the modern mother. And I think that microdosing can really help that. So I think and then, from the brain standpoint, focus, clarity, creativity, my prayer is that we're going to see great strides happen even with dementia and Alzheimer's. So there's just a lot of real great benefits for that focus piece, where we can start titrating off or dropping some of the peripheral medications that are over prescribed right now, and really dial into what's bothering us and really what we need to focus on, rather than just piling pills on top of each other.
Can you tell me like a success story? Do you remember anybody specifically who would who came in uh he came in upset or maybe even skeptical and then went away a changed person?
Yeah, I mean, we see that every day. I would say there's so many. Some of the common success stories that we see at Moms on Mushrooms are, well, I'm just having more fun with my kids. Um, I'm getting down on the floor and playing with my kids, or I'm actually okay to tell my kids that they can go play by myself, and I don't feel guilty like I have to be with my kids all the time, which is actually just as liberating.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of moms find that they come to Moms on Mushrooms because they're finding that they're deeply relying on that 1 to 2 or 3 glasses of wine every night, and they just don't like it. It doesn't feel good. They don't want to do that, and they find that psilocybin, because of its anti-addictive properties, they don't drink as much as they used to. A lot of moms find that they are able to work through a period of grief, whether that is birth trauma or womb trauma or a divorce. And, we get a ton of moms that are just saying, I feel more creative. I'm painting again. I'm writing again. I'm playing my instruments again. Not because I feel like I have to or that I want to start a business, but because it's fun. And we have a lot of moms that just start having a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when there's happy, healthy moms, that's when we raise happy, healthy kids. So I'm all for it.
And how did you come into this?
COVID, I lost
Mm-hmm.
a business, and it was devastating. I'm a 3rd generation entrepreneur. I had a really successful, actually, live touring comedy show that I had co-created with my best friend and business partner. And when the lockdowns happened, of course, every live entertainment business just basically tanked overnight, and we watched a nearly 10-year-old business just slip through our fingers like sand. And the grief was palpable. That plus navigating online school and having a 3rd grader and trying to explain this insane thing that was happening. I just found myself at a crossroads, and I'd kind of been on a spiritual path for several years prior to that, and mushrooms would always come up in my research or my readings. And I just was always like, I just can't do that. I'm a mom. Like, there's no way. And I was raised in the Reagan era in a very conservative Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
So I never did drugs. And I just thought there's no way. And then my same best friend and business partner invited me to a camping trip with a bunch of moms in the summer of 2020. And she's like, and you're going to put your bird girl pants on and you're going to eat some damn mushrooms. And it changed my life in every way. And I just knew that there was something there. I'd also had a hysterectomy at 41, a full hysterectomy that launched me into surgical menopause
Mm-hmm.
the next day. And so my functional medicine doctor wisely put me on Wellbutrin to handle that swing of I literally walked into the hospital with hormones, and I walked out with hot sweats in 24 hours. Like, that's how fast the change is in your body. So the Wellbutrin she suggested would be really good to help mitigate some of these intense side effects of having a full hysterectomy. And I'm grateful for it, but I didn't want to be on Wellbutrin forever. So I was curious if microdosing would help. And so all roads just led to that. And I kind of taught myself.
Interesting. And how many groups or how many meetings do you guys have per year or whatever?
So we have an online community. It's a private community called The Grow. It's kind of like Facebook for Moms on Shrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And there's about 2,000 paying members of that community right now. We've put about 4,000 women through either a group course, a self-paced course, or through our community in the last 2.5 years. So we're growing. We have like instant courses where people can just download and read. We have small group cohorts that last 3 months. And we have specialty offerings in between, integration circles, all sorts of stuff. So we're just trying to meet moms where they're at and give them the resources that they need, because I think, again, education is the foundation of all of it. If you don't know and understand what this medicine is, it's probably not going to work for you. So our job is really to educate mothers in the way that best suits them, and then give them the presentation of choice of, is this something that you think is going to work for you and your life, and are you willing to commit to it?
From a business standpoint, do you think this is going to be as big as, I don't know, tobacco, alcohol, that sort of recreational stuff? What do you think the future of psilocybin or psychedelic based businesses are?
I think the future is very bright. I really don't see it going the recreational route as intensely as tobacco or alcohol or even cannabis. I think because of the first psychedelic revolution in the 60s, there's a lot of bad taste, rightfully, in people's mouths of kind of how not to do this. I don't think we should be dropping acid tablets from airplanes onto groups of people. It's like never a good idea. And I think a lot of people in the space really want to keep it mindful and keep it sacred and safe. So I think the future is very bright. I see in the, within the next 20 years, our children understanding that if they're struggling, that psychedelics are an option. I'm seeing a lot of addictions being healed through multiple psychedelics. And I'm hoping that there will be a priority on education and understanding of how they work, rather than just compounding it into another pharmaceutical drug that people take without understanding. And I think that's where we're at right now. We're at this, like, in this liminal space of really saying, can we usher this into this new time in a new way? Or are we just going to repeat the same thing we've been doing? And I'm really hopeful that we're not going to repeat the same thing we've been doing.
Okay, very cool. So I think this was such a good interview. I have my podcast, which is Keep Going, which has, like, right now it used to have 130,000, but Substack's messed me up. So I'm trying to figure out how to grow it back up again. But I'm going to put this in as a podcast episode, if that's okay.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Cause that'll get you all kinds of eyeballs.
Great. I love that. Thank you.
The book is not coming out until, like, I don't know, next year anyway. So
who's your publisher?
It's Skyhorse Press, who is also publishing Melania's book.
Well, okay.
And Dinesh D'Souza and RFK Jr.
Okay.
And I'm not the happiest puppy about that, but the way I figure, those people are buying more books than young people are. Like, there was this book called Trippy that just came out about ayahuasca, and I think it just bombed.
Yeah.
Because nobody, like, the people who should be reading it aren't reading it, and they're afraid to read it because it's not. So I figure if I'm next to freaking Melania in the airport, then maybe that'll be better. I hope, but I also hope I don't become a grifter. But I think that just requires an amount of willpower.
I think
This has been Keep Going, podcast about success and failure. I'm John Biggs. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to Keep Going, a podcast about success and failure. Remember, Keep Going is entirely listener supported. If you're listening to this, please head over to keepgoingpod.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast for as little as $5 a month. This is a labor of love, and every little bit helps. Thanks for listening.